time there was a girl, a murder at Mobile Bay, something to write home about, memories from a presidential diarist, Black classical musicians in Philadelphia by Lane Mack, and Daisy, Between a Rock and a Hard Place, a biography of civil rights leader Daisy Lee Bates. Carney's fourth personal memoir, Sundays with TJ, 100 Years of Memories on Varner Road, featuring the late TJ Carney, 107-year-old Carney patriarch, debuted spring 2014. Ladies and gentlemen, please help me welcome Janice F. Carney.
Thank you, Erica. Thank you to the City of Little Rock. This is a great honor for me. Anytime I am recognized by my own peers and by the state of Arkansas and Little Rock, it is a great honor. There's a lot that I can say. I will say that I am very, very impressed with the rest of your honorees. Most of them I've met or I know, and I want to commend you for your good work, especially the young honorees who follow in the footsteps of some amazing people. And I was reminded by Mr. Green when he was talking that we all do have a responsibility. We have chosen communication or media or journalism or writing to take care of our mission, our purpose in life. And I think we should take it very, very seriously. We have many people whose shoulders we stand on, and you mentioned many of them. People like John H. Johnson, people like Daisy Bates, my mentor and my friend, and people like Maya Angelou, who I consider one of the greatest literary geniuses, and someone that I have always read and wanted to, in some ways, assimilate. But I want to say that writing is something that I began doing very early in life because I loved writing. It wasn't until much later that I realized that it was something that was needed because voices are so important. And there are so many in this world, in this country, in this state that don't have voices. We people who are recognized today have that mission, that purpose, that responsibility to be the voices of so many, to say the things that others want to say, need to say, things that need to be heard. And I think our mission is very, very important. And just as I heard someone else say, I don't plan to stop doing this anytime soon because the need is still there. It'll always be there. And I thank the giants who came before us for standing there and struggling and doing the things that we didn't have to do. We just had to sit at our computers or our tablets or find a room that we could work from. They did the hard work before we came along. So now we do the easy work, but let's do it to the best of our ability. Thank you all. Thank you.
The Little Rock Sun Community Newspaper. There we go. Dr. Julius Larry. Dr. Larry is a native of Savannah, Georgia. He received his BS degree in chemistry from Savannah College, now Savannah State University, and his Doctor of Dental Surgery degree from Meharry Medical College. Dr. Larry received his Juris Doctor degree from Thurgood Marshall School of Law, Texas Southern University. He received a Master's of Public Health degree from University of North Texas Health Science Center at Fort Worth, Texas, in Healthcare Management and Policy. Dr. Larry practiced law as a civil rights attorney in Houston, Texas, until his retirement. He owns Paradise Casket Company, and he is publisher emeritus of the Little Rock Sun community newspaper. It is a community newspaper showcasing the accomplishments of the Black community through news reporting, editorials, religion, entertainment, sports, business, and lifestyles. The newspaper is founded and published by Dr. Julius Larry. Please help me welcome him.
Good afternoon, and thank you very much. It is more than an honor to be here to receive this on behalf of the staff, the publishers, and the owners of the Little Rock Sun. As Janice Kearney said, we're all standing on the shoulders of giants. The original Little Rock Sun was founded in November of 1885 by Dr. Julian Talbot Bailey. He was a professor at Philander Smith College. Well, in 2013, I, being an outsider, had a business here, and I came back and said, I want to take out an ad in the black newspaper. Well, I was informed, well, we don't have a black weekly newspaper anywhere in the state. Well, I was not a journalist myself. Frankie Gaines had been the photographer for Bill Clinton when he was governor, but he knew everyone. So we went over to Philander Smith, and the Central Arkansas Association of Black Journalists just happened to have their meeting at Philander. So we hired Dana Bradley. She had a master's in mass communications. So she put the Little Rock Sun paper together. And as you can see, and I'm glad this is the view that's here, it was Janice Kearney who literally launched the paper. That is her story on L.C. and Daisy Bates. And I certainly want to thank her today. And I didn't know her at the time, but I certainly do now. I want to also mention what we should be doing in the black media, the black press. Not to have a weekly newspaper in a city this large and in the state was just something atrocious to me as a civil rights attorney. I went back to Houston and discussed it with some of my friends who have some money, and we reviewed the history of all of the black papers that had come through Little Rock since the 1800s. Money is a very important thing. We decided that we'd forget selling caskets because that's a great business. We kill each other and we die 24/7. The best business that I've been in, even better than practicing law. We took our money and restarted the Little Rock Sun. So this is the very first edition that we brought out for Juneteenth of 2013. And I want to say that not only was it on time, we distributed the paper about 2 days early. We ran 20,000 copies then. We run 50,000 copies now because we progressed. I didn't know a thing about journalism, I thought. But I called my mother, who's 101 now, and she said, well, you know, Junior, you sold Savannah Herald when you were a little boy. And I remember, yeah, they were 10 cents. And I went door to door, knew everyone in the segregated city of Savannah, because you're either black or white there at that particular point in time. You know, you took journalism in high school, don't you remember that? I go, oh yeah, I remember that. And you were the editor-in-chief of Alpha Voices when you were at Savannah State College. I said, yeah, I do remember that. And you practice law, so if you don't know enough about writing an article or running a paper, you don't need to be in the business at all. And my mother is always right, and she still is today. I read the history of the Arkansas State Press, and the one thing that disturbed me is when white advertisers pulled their support, a paper could crash. So we pledged that if we never receive one white dollar in advertising, we're going to still publish the paper. So we're 100% black on, independently published, and when you have the ability to print 50,000, you can print 100,000. So we continue on to this day, but it has nothing much to do with me. Our paper is around today because of Ramel Driver, who brought her staff over, which consisted of Dr. Casey Roberts, and the principal writer was Renata Williams. So they continued the paper on, but because we have a more cosmopolitan view of what we do, and our paper's distributed in Houston and across the South, in Atlanta, up in DC, everybody loves it, we have a transculturation project that we're working on. What blacks are doing across the country is basically the same. We're just more successful at it in some cities than others. So we take what we do in Houston, what we do in Atlanta, and we bring it to see what we're doing in Little Rock to see if we can make a difference. A lot of the black media today, though, has been silenced, and they've been silenced because of white dollars. They don't want to offend the white benefactors and the white advertisers. Well, the Little Rock Sun is not like that. We're going to continue to publish whether people like us or not. When I first came here, being an outsider, I was fairly well vilified. And I want to say, Helene, with all due respect to you and your great service over there at the Arkansas Democrat Gazette, that's a fine paper. It's a fine white paper. The Little Rock Sun is a fine paper, and it's a fine black paper. And we'd like to get more and more writers. But one thing we should do in the black press is tackle tough issues. And we've been kind of sugarcoating tough issues. The relationship, well, I should say the estranged relationship between law enforcement and the black community. We need to address that in the press and not sugarcoat it. And I will tell you, when we look at history, Ferguson, Baltimore, those are just tea parties compared to the 1965 Watts riot. And anyone that's of age can remember the burn, baby, burn generation. Well, history has repeated itself. The same things the police is doing today, they were doing it back then. But we were younger and we had a different response. We had the Black Panther Party. In the party, we decided that we needed to police the police. And that's basically what happened. Of course, and the rest of that's a bunch of history of COINTELPRO and those things. But they were killing us anyway. And if you're going to die anyway, you might as well die for a worthy cause. So revolution, theoretical revolution, the word revolution was brought to being. And I notice today the young millennials are talking about revolution. And there's a revolution going on. But the black community acts as if we're at a picnic in the park. They are killing us. Now, we have a right to self-defense, and we have a God-given right for self-determination. Are we going to continue to just die, or are we going to protect the community and fight back? Well, an outright race war would be the most foolish thing we could ever concoct. But if you don't defend your own, there will be no black children tomorrow and the next set of tomorrows. So we must do something. There's an old patriot that I remember, Thomas Jefferson, and I'm paraphrasing this. He said that from time to time, the tree of liberty must be watered with the blood of tyrants and patriots. Well, somebody's gonna always die in war. I will submit to you today that it is now time that we should maintain our liberty, that we should stand our ground for our own freedom, and we probably need to let some of the blood of tyrants fly because they're killing us anyway. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Okay, last but certainly not least, Patrick Oliver. And I thought I saw him right. Oh, there he is back there. Okay. Patrick Oliver is a program manager and literary consultant dedicating to promoting reading and writing as tools of empowerment. Through a variety of innovative projects, Oliver engages children, youth, and adults in activities such as writing workshops, author talks, book discussions, professional development sessions, and community forums. And let me just say, I think Patrick's work is so wonderful because of his advocacy with literacy and the youth. And his bio goes on and on, but for the sake of time, I want you to help me welcome Patrick Oliver.
Everybody say young people read. Young people read. Say it loud now. Young people read. And that's my work. Gwendolyn Brooks was the first African American to win a Pulitzer Prize for literature. And I'm gonna share a poem with you. She allowed me to use it in my latest book on my own. But it's a poem that I think it speaks to the work that we're doing. Amen. It says, to young readers, good books are bandages and voyages and links to light. Good books are keys and hammers, right redeemers, dials, bells, and healing hallelujahs. Good books are good nutrition. A reader is a guest in a good book, nourished by the riches of the feast, to lift, to lunch, and to applaud the world. That's what Gwendolyn Brooks said about books. We want young people to see the light in books. If you ain't reading, I said ain't, I sure said it. If you ain't reading, you ain't in touch with the world. We want young people to be in touch with the world. We want young people to run the world. Yes. The young people I work with, that's what I tell them to do. You run the world. That's your goal, to be number one. Look, I come from East Little Rock. It was 7 of us. My sister right there, she read every morning back there. Every morning. Which means everybody had to read, because she was the babysitter. Everybody had to read in my family. That reading took me from East Little Rock to all over the world. Places I read about, I've experienced. I walk with the best, I talk with the best. But the one thing for sure that I always tell young people, turn the page, 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 turn the page. Every day, every night, turn the page, turn the page, turn the page, turn the page. That's our liberation. If you ain't turn the page, somebody else owns you.
Oh, yeah.
Can I get an amen on that?
Amen.
If you ain't turn the page to knowledge, to literature, to books, to information, somebody else owns you. You're doing what somebody else do. You're not controlling your future. So we want young people to control their future, control themselves. That's why we do what we do every day, 24/7. We're pushing organizations like the City of Little Rock to do more about literary programs for young people. I'm glad to say the City of Little Rock Community Programs Office supported the majority of the work that I did. So let's give the City of Little Rock a big hand for that. My first book, they were the emphasis behind it. I mean, they pushed it. I mean, they gave me dollars and money so we can have literary program support to support young people. So I just want to say, hey, thank you, the City of Little Rock, for hosting this program. It is wonderful to promote books. Y'all, we in City Hall, promoting Black literature, books, reading, publications in City Hall, Little Rock. Let's give it up for Little Rock, y'all.
And let's give it up for all of our honorees. Thank you so much. We salute you, each and every one of you. And before we close out, we're going to have a musical selection from Wine and Roses, and then we will move on to food and fellowship.